So, quick update before I let this out of my hands. I called the guy and he says, "How much do I owe?" And I said, "Nothing." He says, "I don't believe it." So, I'm definitely not charging this guy. I just hope that this bike gets ridden. Yeah, it works really good and it'll be great. It'll be a great bike for him. So, another one saved. Yay! So, as I'm just kind of putting the finishing touches on here and kind of wrapping up this redo, I just want to talk a little bit about it. So, this guy that brought me this bike said, "Oh, I got a bike. I want a bike. I want to start biking again. I got a bike, but it's a piece of junk and it's been sitting out in the elements for the last year or so." He said he had really good intentions for riding it last year, and then those intentions went bye-bye, which happens a lot to these poor, tired old bikes. However, I said, "Well, why don't you give it to me and I'll see what I can do, you know?" Because I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I love working on bikes just as much as I love riding bikes. Especially these types of bikes. Don't get me wrong, I love working on the newer modern stuff, but you can't do to the newer bikes what you can do to these old you know, these old 1990 bikes, or like the 1990s mountain bikes, or the like these types of bikes in particular, like the CCMs and stuff. You can just take hammers and you can take adjustable wrenches to these things. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 3, 21 speed, and the chain is so wide, and the cog widths are so wide that the tolerances are way less on these bikes for shifting. And you know, you got the good old front derailleur, but whatever, it is what it is. So yeah, I just wanted to say, like, you know, if you got one of these bikes sitting in your garage, and it's been sitting in your garage for years, just get it tuned up. Find a guy, honestly, Find a guy like me that will tune it up for next to nothing. Because I don't even know if I'm going to charge this guy yet. I don't think I am. I just like to see people on bikes, right? Chances are likely that he'll ride this a couple times and then that'll be it. But you never know, right? You got to give him the benefit of the doubt. Testing the shifting. That's good. That's good. That's good. Sweet. I'll just go around and do a bolt check. So fine. It's all good. Derailleur bolt is good. I already did the front derailleur bolts. I checked already the bolt for the good old kickstand. Let's get a number 5 in the stem bolts here. That's good. That's good. Make sure the top cap is a little taut. Yep, that's good. And then check the front clamp bolts on the stem. All is well there. Alright. I'm going to check the bolts for the calipers. Looking good. Alright. At the end of the day, this took me about 2 hours to complete. Down to pretty much the frame and just, lubing and taking the bottom bracket out, re-lubing it, checking the hubs so they spin nice and easy, which actually these ones did for some reason. Usually I get bikes, they don't even hardly move. These ones are perfect, front and rear. I checked the truing on the front and the rear wheel, and they were straight as an arrow, which again, I don't normally get that. These are Shimano Tyranny front and rear derailleurs, and in my experience, these Tyranny derailleurs from Shimano are like the best low budget, low cost options for these types of bikes. They work flawlessly, they're easy to set up, and they're just honestly, they're very durable. The brakes on this bike leave something to be desired though. So the back brake, it is what it is. It's working all right. The front brake, I resurfaced the pads and also the rotor and bedded in. So it's probably about 100 times better than it was, but it's still not the greatest. I would have to say probably mechanical disc brakes are the worst type of brakes for a bike. In my mind, you either should have V-brakes with good pads, or like lower end, especially on these types of bikes, like lower end hydraulic brakes, like the MT201s from Shimano. These mechanical disc brakes just suck. So, I don't know. There's not much you can do.
It stops though. The suspension works, so that's great. All I did was put some SRAM butter on there. They've got some little spotting of rust on the steel stanchions, so once that starts, you can't stop it. I just put SRAM butter all over the stanchions, just a thin coat. People like the person that brought me this bike, they're not going to notice that kind of stuff, but I can't help but to kind of do that just to mitigate the explosion of rust that will eventually occur with these steel stanchions. It is what it is, right? Every single one of the bolts on this bike is rusty. So, but they're not bad. They're not bad. I've seen and have had the experience where I've had to tell people, I went over your bike and I can't fix it because the bolts on the bike are too rusted out. But not just the bolts, like the axles and things that the bolts bolt onto were too rusty to be safe. That wasn't the case with this bike, thankfully. So all the bolts, yes, have some surface rust on them, but they're still safe, and I don't have any issue with letting this out of my hands. As far as safety is concerned, I always check over the frame as well for cracks and dents and stuff, and there's nothing going on with this frame. So yeah, took the headset apart as well, and just needed greased and the bearings needed cleaned, which is typical, but everything on this bike came off rather easy, except for the bottom bracket, which is always the case. It's the standard threaded tapered bottom bracket. What do you expect when you leave a bike outside for a year in the elements and don't touch it? Literally don't even touch it. So cables actually in pretty good shape. This one here for the front derailleur, a little bit rusty, but and the rear derailleur, but it's actually in the housing, it's fine. It all moves super fluid, so I'm not concerned with anything going on in the housing. It's all good. So at the end of the day, another bike has been saved, and hopefully he uses it. If he doesn't, then at least I know I did my part. I haven't done one of these in a while. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. If you have one of these bikes sitting in your garage, fix it up, or find someone like me. But you try it. Most of the time, these bikes, all you need is a 5mm Allen key and an adjustable wrench. A 5mm, a 4mm, a 3mm Allen key, and an adjustable wrench, and you can do most of the work that needs to be done on these bikes. It's crazy. It's actually awesome. So anyway, take care, and we'll see you on the next one.